Welcome, students, to the session on independence. In this session, I will be covering the following topics: the definition of independence, issues about cultural responsiveness, and how to promote independence, particularly through prompting. There are various questions that define independence, and the first one might be, what does the child do by him or herself? This is a fairly obvious question. And a parallel question is, what does he or she need help with? Can the child be left to participate in this routine without assistance? How does the child indicate a need for help? How does the child respond when help is given? The issue of cultural responsiveness is about what it means to be, for example, a good mother or a good father, grandmother, etc. In different cultures, the amount of help that is expected to be given to the child varies. So in some families, the definition of being a good mother means doing a lot for your child. In other cultures, it might mean that you let your child try by him or herself first before offering help. So we should be very careful not to take our own values and assume that the families we work with have the same values as us when it comes to how much help we should provide to children. We will now move on to the issue of prompting as a way of promoting independence. In a general dictionary, the definition of prompting is the action of saying something to persuade, encourage, or remind someone to do or say something. But let's also look at a behavioral definition of prompting. Prompting is a means to induce an individual with added stimuli, which are prompts, to perform a desired behavior. A prompt is like a cue or support to encourage a desired behavior that otherwise does not occur. Therefore, a prompt is used when the natural environment has not produced the behavior that would be expected with that natural stimulus. So, for example, if you have a child sitting at a table and there is a spoon there and you put down a bowl of cereal and the child does not pick up the spoon and start eating it, the expected behavior or desired behavior would be that the child would pick up the spoon and start eating. So if the child does not do that, we need to think about what kind of prompt might be necessary to get the child to emit that behavior. In other words, a prompt is an antecedent that is provided when an ordinary antecedent is ineffective. Prompts are often categorized into a hierarchy from most intrusive to least intrusive, and so we will now go through some of those through that hierarchy. The first level of prompting is full physical assistance. I'm going to show you now a video of full physical prompt. Let's try that again with the volume set correctly. You saw how the instructor, the teacher, took the child's hand and put the child's hand on the correct card. Now, this whole many of these examples are very artificial and clinical and not endorsed by me or the model that I'm talking to you about in this course. I'm simply isolating these particular prompts in this clinical setting to show you how they work. The full physical prompt, we can also have a partial physical assistance, and that would be where the adult would move the child's arm slightly towards the table to see if the child would actually put her hand on the card by herself after the beginning part of the physical assistance. A full model is another type of prompt, and here we'll see a video of this. All right, here we see now the teacher using a model. There she's modeling touch. The other interesting thing that we're seeing in this in these examples is that the teacher is using a primary reinforcer in the form of an edible. That is, a child gets to eat something, which is an extremely strong reinforcer, and one that we don't always use in real life. Otherwise our children will become obese. In addition to a full model, we can also have, of course, a partial model. So that would be, for example, where a teacher would indicate with without maybe not actually tapping on the picture or putting her hand on the picture, but going towards the picture. Now let's talk about a full verbal prompt. Again, we will have a video to show this with the same teacher and child. Again, it's a bit of an artificial situation here. It's clearly an office, and the teacher is going to try to get the child to do something and then give a full verbal prompt.
What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? Crawling. Crawling. Good job.
So she started by giving a partial verbal prompt. She said, what is he doing? And she said she's like that, without actually saying crawling. Eventually she did say crawling, which changed it from a partial verbal prompt to a full verbal prompt. So I just talked about a partial verbal model or prompt. Another type of prompt is a gestural prompt. Again, we will look at a video to show how this works. Let's watch for the gesture prompt here.
Touch crawling. That's crawling. Good job.
So pointing counts as a gesture prompt, as we saw in this little clip here. Next, we have positional prompt. And in this one, we will have another video mercifully using a different set of characters in this video. This video is actually interesting because it shows how you use shaping, which is gradually getting the child to be more competent by changing the prompt level. And so you'll see that at the beginning the prompts are very easy for the child to follow, and over time they are the task between choosing between the correct and incorrect card. Again, a very artificial task, but how that is gets harder as we go through the procedure. So that's changing the It's called shaping. It's also, in a sense, fading the prompt because the prompt isn't quite as obvious as the positional prompt isn't quite as obvious.
Give me the cookies. Great job.
So you see, first the cookies were up at the top, close to the participant, the child, let's say. Now they're a bit further away and closer to the incorrect card. She's saying, show me the cookies, and these are the cookies here.
Give me the cookies. Good work. Give me the cookies. Good job. Give me the cookies.
So in that example, the prompt, the positional prompt, that is putting the card showing the cookies close to the child, prompted the child to correct the right card. When they eventually were side by side, the teacher switched the positions of the two, showing that the child had understood by this point which was the correct card. The final type of prompt that we will talk about today is time delay. Time delay is the delay between when the task direction is given to the child and when the prompt is given. And that delay can be constant. That is, that every time you teach the child, you have a 2-second delay between the task direction and the prompt, for example. Or it can be progressive, where you begin by having 0 seconds between the task direction and the prompt, and then as time goes on, you increase the delay between the task direction and the prompt. This is quite a long video, so I'll sort of slip ahead a bit, and you'll be able to see how the teacher is providing increasing amount of delay between the task direction and the prompt.
Show me cow. Good job. That's a cow. That's a cow. Show me eggs. Amazing. That's right. Those are eggs. Show me pork. Pork.
So that was an example of an incorrect response, obviously, and the teacher's response to an incorrect response was to hold the card up and tell the child or person what that actually was, which was the correct one, in other words.
Show me lamb. Amazing. That's a lamb.
And you see that the teacher's response to correct responding is social praise.
Show me hot dog. This is a hot dog. Show me toothbrush. Great job. That's a toothbrush. Show me cupcake. Amazing. That's a Show me hot dog.
Now you see that there is a delay in there because she said, show me hot dog, and she did not point to a card. I don't know if this is 1 or 2 second delays because the respondent, the child, let's call her, responded correctly. So we'll look at a bit more of a few more examples of this delay.
Hot dog. Remember, if you don't know the answer, you can wait and I'll help you. Show me keys.
So that looks like about a 1 second delay. Show me keys, 1, and then she taps. So the child, what this method does is it encourages errorless learning, because the child doesn't have to fail for a long time before getting a prompt. And you always start with 0 seconds and then gradually add in seconds after that. Let's watch this a bit more.
Keys. Show me grapes. Grapes. Remember, if you don't know the answer, you can wait and I'll help you. Show me elephant. That's right, elephant. Show me hamburger. Great job, hamburger. Show me airbrush.
Now we're increasing the delay.
Show me ice cream. Awesome, that's ice cream. Show me airbrush. Great, that's airbrush.
So when teaching young children, it would not normally be done in such a clinical setting with repeated trials like this. But the principle of thinking about time delay is still very important. So at the beginning, you don't give the child a lot of opportunity to fail, so you give the prompts early. And then as the child becomes more competent, you increase the delay to give the child more time to respond correctly before having to prompt him, so that the child does not become prompt dependent. When you present a task direction to a child, like show me the elephant, there are 4 possible responses that a child can make. One is correct prompted, that is, after the prompt the child then points to the elephant. A second is correct unprompted, and that would be where you say show me the elephant, and before the prompt comes the child shows the elephant. That of course is the best response that we want. There is also incorrect prompted, which is when you say show me the elephant, you point to the elephant as a prompt, and the child still chooses the other card. That's incorrect prompted. And then there is correct prompted, which is where no, we've already done correct prompted. There is incorrect, let me see, correct prompted, correct unprompted, incorrect prompted, and incorrect unprompted. And so that would be where the child, you say show me the elephant, and before you can get a prompt in, the child is showing you the wrong card. So remember those 4. I mixed them up a little bit in there, so you'll have to remember them. Correct prompted, correct unprompted, incorrect prompted, and incorrect unprompted. Okay, let's have one more look at this when we're up to 3 seconds delay. See how this person does.
Show me milk. Amazing. That's milk. Show me pork.
1, 2, 3.
Great job. That's pork. Show me horse.
1.
Horse. Remember, if you don't know the answer, you can wait and I'll help you. Show me umbrella.
1, 2, 3.
Umbrella.
So that counted as a prompted incorrect. The teacher gave the prompt by tapping on the correct card, and the child just looked off into the distance and didn't choose either card. So that counts as a prompted incorrect.
Show me keys. Great job. Those are keys.
Prompted correct.
Show me elephant.
Prompted incorrect.
Elephant. Show me hamburger. Way to go. That's a hamburger.
Unprompted correct, the best answer.
Show me donut. Awesome. That's a donut.
Prompted correct.
Show me hot. Hot. Remember, if you don't know the answer, you can wait and I'll help you.
Unprompted incorrect.
Show me grapes. That's right. Way to go. Those are great.
Prompted correct. So this has been a short journey through types of prompts. It also allowed us to think about the different types of responses that we get from children. I'm sorry that the examples were so contrived, but you need to have a good awareness of these different kinds of prompts for promoting children's independence. And independence is in the context of engagement, independence, and social relationships, which you heard about before. So this video, this presentation, has been about the definition of independence, cultural responsiveness, and promoting independence, especially using different kinds of prompting. Your assignments for this lesson are to look at the Clamizer, the classroom measure of engagement, independence, and social relationships, which has been translated into Polish. And by the time you get to this course, to this particular class, I hope to have a link to that so that you can read it in Polish. And then watch the video on Welcome to Early Intervention Services, why routines are important, and here is the link, but the link is also posted in our classroom, our Google Classroom, so you can click on it there. Now, in addition to that, you also will be posting an answer to this question to the discussion board. Different parents have different ideas about how much they should help their children. If parents help their children with skills the children can do themselves, what should our approach be with those parents? Please reflect on cultural sensitivity, the question, whose child is it, and the importance of children's learning autonomy. This is a complicated matter, and your 100-word minimum reflection should acknowledge both the complexity of the issue and your position. In addition to your answer, which is for me to read, and you can write it in Polish, please reply to at least one other student's answer. The reply to another student does not have to be 100 words, it can be short. So I'm trying to do two things here. One is to give you an opportunity to reflect on the information we have talked about in this particular class, but also to have some interaction among the students in the class. Okay? Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.